Hey guys, it's me, Carl Sane from Cabarrus County Schools. I'm going to be walking you through how to how to use teacher.desmos.com to create an assignment for your students to work on. What we're working on today is actually just how to assign that assignment to your students and then see what kind of progress they've made. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to teacher.desmos.com. Make sure you've got teacher in there. If you go to desmos.com, it's a calculator, and that's kind of where this site originated. Teacher.desmos.com has all kinds of activities, though. Some of these are unbelievable. You can see there's a search bar for an activity. There's also featured collections. These are all math specific. So if you're a math teacher, that's great for you. If you are not a math teacher, I recommend you watch one of my other videos, which is creating a Desmos lesson. Leanne Havely also did one on creating a Desmos lesson for social studies and health PE teachers. Desmos is a neat platform that is just a really neat way to engage students in an activity, for them to get immediate feedback, for you to see exactly what their responses were, and for perhaps students to engage with each other. So what we're going to focus on right now is really just how to assign a Desmos activity. So I'm going to pick one of my favorites. Uh, it's called Land the Plane. So Land the Plane is engaging students in work regarding uh, linear functions. So you can see here, it's tagged as linear functions. It is a practice activity. So some of these are more conceptual, some of these are more practice. It gives you a general timeline, and then it tells you who created it. So some of these lessons are created by teachers or by individuals. Uh, it's pretty strong if it's created by Desmos. It gives you a little bit of an overview of the activity, but as you scroll down, you have a lot of options. So for one, there's a green button for create class code. We're going to use that in a second. If you've ever used that lesson before, it gives you a history of all of your classes that have used that class code before. So on March the 12th, I had 122 students that used this activity. Underneath that, there is a student preview. So these are the slides that students would see. So if you're interested in a particular activity, when you go to student preview and you click those slides, it's going to show you exactly what the student would do. In this particular activity, it says land the plane. Move the plane so it lands safely and press submit to see your answer. So I think if I move that plane right about here, that plane might land safely. Oh no, it looks like I'm off. It says you didn't land the plane safely. Estimating can be tricky. If I was in class, I would ask students to pause right here and ask what would be helpful for you to have if you were trying to get that plane to land safely. And of course, on the next slide, it provides a coordinate plane and it gives you an equation for that plane. So uh, you can basically just use these slides as a means of seeing exactly what it is the students are going to engage in, what kind of questions students will be given, what tasks they might have to do. So here, students are going to start typing equations uh, for that plane and seeing how it'll go. And then at the end of this activity, there's a way where students can make their own challenge, right? But I just say that because this is a neat way to see exactly how students will engage in that activity. Gives you an opportunity to see if it's exactly what you were looking for. If it is an activity that is made by Desmos, the only option you have is to share the activity. If the activity is made by another individual, you have the option to copy and edit it. So if you like the first 2 or 3 slides, but you don't like slide 4, then you could copy and edit it and change slide 4. Again, check out my other video on creating your own Desmos activities if you'd like to do that. What we're going to do is we're going to assign this activity. So we're going to create a class code. Notice it gave us a new class code CT8ZJC. If you were to click that class code, it brings you to the dashboard. It says, hey, students, go here. Well, we don't have students in a live classroom right now if we're using online learning. So what we need is we need this code. So that's the code that you're going to get to your students. If you have a Google Classroom, you'd send that code. If you have a Canvas and you want to create an assignment, you could assign it that way. But what I've got is I've got a welcome page with some week 1 activities. And when I scroll down to week 1, I want students to explore this activity during lesson 1. So right here, instead of, this is a generic lesson template that I stole from Leanne Havely. It says during this week, here's our objective, and here's what I'm doing office hours. And we're going to do a particular launch, explore, discuss format. And so our explore is to complete this land the plane activity. Keep in mind we need to give students that link. So one option is to provide that link here. Another option is to hyperlink that activity. And now when students, I'm going to save that. If a student saw this web page, they would see complete this land the plane activity. You may feel like you need to give your students some directions on exactly how to access this. So you might need to tell students on the first screen, enter this code and click join and enter your name. So feel free to type those students up. I'm sorry, type those directions up for students, perhaps right here. So I'll model that for you. So they need first access this activity. Click next, and then add your name. Work through each of the 7 slides to finish the activity. What I want to show you next is exactly what the teacher sees while students are working. So what I'm going to do is show you from a student view and also from a teacher view what it is that we're going to see. So right now I'm in the student view. I'm a student named Carl Sane. And so I'm on slide 1 and I've moved my plane. Let's put my plane down here somewhere. I obviously missed the runway. As a teacher, you can now see that we have a student named Carl Sane that's on slide 1. And if you click on that, you can see exactly normally what it is that the students typed or saw. So for instance, as a student, I'm going to move back to that Desmos activity. We're going to move to slide 2. As the teacher, you can now see that we have a student on slide 2. And so let's see if I can be successful on this time and what it shows the teacher view. So it gives me a check mark that the student completed slide 2 successfully. As we progress through these following problems, I think this equation ends up being y equals 1/2 x plus 3. Oh, I'm sorry. There goes my inattention to detail. Again, I was successful on that task, and the student can see that I've got a student on this, and I was successful. So as a teacher, when you are in this, if you're looking at the summary, you can see exactly which problems the students are getting right and wrong so that you can give feedback or so that you've got an idea of what your students are doing. To get back to that activity, if you click the D in the corner for Desmos, it takes you back to your screen. If you get lost and need to get back, you can always just go back to your history. And this shows you all of your assignments. We were just now working on land the plane on March the 25th with 1 student, and you're back to that dashboard. All right. If you have questions, again, my name is Carl Sane. My email is carl, Karl.sane, SAIN, @cabarrus.k12.nc.us. Let me know, and I'd love to help you out assigning Desmos tasks to your students.